Let us first begin with domain 1. So if you remember, we started with the fundamental principles of information security, which are confidentiality, integrity, and availability, the CIA. So your security lies at the heart of the CIA, which is very important, also called as the CIA triad. Now, C is confidentiality. What confidentiality ensures is that the disclosure of information is properly done. Only who is authorized to access should access the information, and who is not authorized to access should not access the information. Then how to implement confidentiality? I will write it one by one. We should have encryption. We should have identification. We should have access controls. Then we should have permissions. So if you remember, like as recent as today, we were studying about database security, and there we were talking about permissions and access controls. So the security is related in all the domains. Whenever we talk about one thing, we should have a correlation with the other as soon as that topic comes up. That should be the level of understanding for the CISSP. So this was about confidentiality. The next is integrity. Integrity is to ensure that the data is not altered or modified by someone who is not authorized. The modification is done properly. How to ensure this? There are some implementation methods. First one is hashing. We studied various types of hashes: MD2, MD4, SHA, SHA1, SHA2. So all these are hashing techniques. Then in domain 8, we studied config management to manage the configuration so that it is changed properly. We studied change management. All the changes are done properly. So all this is part of your integrity. Also access control and permissions. Again, this helps ensuring integrity as well. So it will come here also, access controls. Then first is confidentiality, integrity, and then availability. Basically, availability of data whenever it is required. Availability by authorized person, not unauthorized, of course. Authorized person only. How to ensure this? Some implementation methods. System design should be such that, so what will come as part of design will be high availability. You have DB1. If it goes down, there is a DB2 to take over. So this will ensure your high availability. Then backups ensure availability. Then disaster recovery and business continuity planning. All this ensures your availability of data. So this is the first lesson of domain 1, the lesson 1, and it only talks about three things: the main principles of security, which is C, I, and A. Your entire CISSP revolves around these three security principles. Moving on to the next lesson. So next we'll do as part of domain 1. So we are still in domain 1. So next lesson is your security principles. So what all security principles are important for a CISSP to know? First one is due care. So how to remember this due care is do correctly. So whatever you are supposed to do, you should do it correctly. That is what is called as due care. Basically, making a reasonable effort to protect system, data, assets, or people. That comes under your due care security principle. Examples of due care are warning signs, posting these warning signs, installing card readers. So, for example, let me tell you how confusion is created in the exam. So, you have a question where we are talking about there are door locks implemented. So, installing card readers or installing door locks is part of due care. However, if the question says that the door locks are already there, so then we are not talking about due care. We are talking about some security control being implemented. But installing door locks is like somebody is doing it. So that is very minor difference, but that creates a lot of confusion. Then other example would be conducting your audits or assessments. All these are due care. Then next is your due diligence principle. So the easy way to remember this is like due care is do correctly, due diligence is do direct. So in this we talk about the ongoing effort by the organization to ensure that your assets are protected, people are protected, and the data is protected. So to protect the assets, people, or data. This is your due diligence. Now, examples of due diligence like installing patches, applying best practices of security depending on what type of organization is there, installing antiviruses. All these are your due diligence. And next principle is first of all, this due care and due diligence is very important from exams perspective. These are the easy ways of remembering them. You can write it down, take a screenshot. Next one is the need to know. So we have seen this in the slides as well. Need to know is when someone needs to access some information which are necessary to perform their duties, necessary to do something, only then the rights are given. That is need to know. Example is access to some confidential information. I've written conf as a shortcut, confidential information. Basically, that is only the thing. So suppose John has access to confidential information for his daily work, but he requires access to secret or data for undertaking some work which he has been assigned. So he submits a request to administrator for accessing this with a need to know that he wants to know some secret data. So this is called as a need to know. So moving on to next, more security principles.